The unmasked climate emergency anthropogenic forcing has rendered recent North American heat extremes statistically inevitable, demanding an urgent re-evaluation of regional adaptation strategies. The World Weather Attribution Study concludes that the record-shattering March temperatures across western North America would have been virtually impossible without human-induced climate change, a verdict that crystallizes a new phase of climate risk.
This event is not an anomaly, but a direct manifestation of a long-term trend where anthropogenic greenhouse gases have systematically increased the likelihood and intensity of such extremes. Critically, historical aerosol-induced cooling masked this underlying warming trend for decades, particularly between 1950 and 1980, creating a false baseline of climate stability that has now been violently overturned.
The region, especially northern Mexico and the southern U.S., is a global hotspot for rising absolute summer maximum temperatures, with projections indicating these events will become more frequent, intense and prolonged.
This establishes an immediate and non-negotiable imperative for accelerated adaptation, as societal vulnerability intersects dangerously with these accelerating climatic shifts.
The aerosol mask and the unfolding hotspot. The temporary suppression of warming by mid-century pollution has created a compounded, deferred climate shock now hitting North America with full force. The climatic context for this event is defined by a complex interplay of forcings that delayed but ultimately intensified the region's exposure.
Research by Grace Martinez and Bollis in 2021 highlights that while greenhouse gases steadily increased heatwave likelihood, sulfate aerosols from industrial pollution provided a countervailing cooling effect, particularly in the mid-20th century. This masking effect has diminished with improved air quality regulations, unleashing the pent-up warming trend and contributing to the region's status as a pronounced hotspot.
Observations and models consistently show stronger warming rates here, up to 0.5 degrees C per decade in parts of Mexico over the last 30 years, exceeding broader continental averages. The 2021 Pacific Northwest heat dome, a seminal event analyzed in over 70 studies, demonstrated that the likelihood of such extremes has increased by 700% to an infinite factor compared to the pre-industrial climate, with heat dome dynamics themselves warming faster than the global background rate.
This historical unmasking transforms the region's risk profile from gradual to acutely non-linear.
Compounding vulnerabilities and accelerating impacts. The convergence of rapid warming, demographic shifts, and urban heat island effects is creating a deadly synergy that outpaces current preparedness. The strategic deep dive reveals that the physical hazard is only one component of a cascading risk equation.
The primary impact vector is human health, where studies show heat-related mortality in the U.S. Southwest and Southeast is increasing at a higher rate than heat severity itself, indicating a growing susceptibility gap.
This is exacerbated by intersecting trends of population aging and uneven urban distribution, which concentrate vulnerable populations in high-risk areas. Cities act as critical risk amplifiers due to the urban heat island effect, where concrete and asphalt absorb and re-radiate heat, creating microclimates significantly hotter than surrounding rural zones.
Furthermore, emerging research underscores the significant mental health impacts of extreme heat, a previously underestimated consequence that adds a complex layer to public health burdens. The existing rollout of heat action plans, while encouraging, is being overtaken by the accelerating pace of these compound drivers, revealing a systemic lag in adaptive capacity that must be closed with unprecedented speed.
A strategic imperative for managed retreat and urban redesign. The verdict necessitates a paradigm shift from incremental adaptation to transformative urban and regional planning that treats extreme heat as a permanent, existential threat. The final assessment is that incremental measures will be insufficient. The projected increase in frequency and intensity of these events demands a fundamental re-engineering of the built environment and social systems.
The strategic verdict calls for an accelerated, large-scale deployment of nature-based solutions, specifically increasing cooling green and blue spaces to mitigate the urban heat island effect at its source. This must be integrated with a robust expansion of heat action plans that specifically target aging populations and mental health outcomes.
Long-term, the analysis points toward the need for managed retreat strategies from regions becoming chronically uninhabitable, coupled with investments in resilient infrastructure designed for a hotter climate. The next steps involve prioritizing funding for urban redesign, mandating heat-resilient building codes, and establishing continuous real-time monitoring of compound climate health risks.
Failure to enact this comprehensive strategy will result in escalating mortality, economic disruption, and a deepening of social inequities as the climate signal, now unequivocally unmasked, continues to intensify